Okay, Alex. Last
Ricky
night,
Taylor.
last night was the first presidential debate, and it was moderated by Chris Wallace. How do you think it went? What is your overall take of this debate?
It was a shit show.
It was a shit soup sandwich to me. It was so bad. It was so frustrating. I was getting so mad. My ears were warm. I was hot. Um, yeah. What
You're
if you
hot.
could give me if you could give me a couple bullet points of basically what do you think was the overall take?
Okay, well, firstly, I think the biggest takeaway is the fact that a man wishing to be and running for president cannot name a single law enforcement agency anywhere that endorses
Mm,
him. Anywhere. I also think that Trump shouldn't have interrupted so much. I think it would have been better if he had let Biden say out his ideas, if they even were ideas besides his Antifa idea. And then, kind of mentally prepare his answers and then just like hand it to him. But at the same time, he was basically debating two people on that
oh
stage
yeah.
last night. Chris Wallace was Joe Biden's breaks that he had requested. And, also Biden had the nerve to say Trump's interrupting was unpresidential and then proceeded to tell him to shut up and that he was,
Called him a clown as well.
and that, it was,
Says shut up, man.
yeah, exactly. And called him a clown because he can't handle pressure. That's extremely unpresidential to me. So those, I
And
think,
and,
were like the big
and
highlights.
yeah, and I Chris Wallace, man, he really disappointed me. I thought he would come in and ask some of the tough questions to Biden because what he tried to do is every question that he asked Trump was trying to trap Trump into, are you gonna condemn this? Or you like every time. And then when Trump would answer that, he would interject so many times. They said that he interjected. There's some statistics on it that he interjected on Trump 75 times and only
Yeah.
Joe Biden 15 times. And then he would give the question to Joe Biden and it would be such a softball. He's basically leading him, kind of giving
He's
him the answer. Like,
coddling.
do you agree with? Yeah. And the whole thing, so Chris Wallace was one problem. He was a big problem because it was Donald Trump versus I said it was Joe Wallace because the both of them combined going against Trump was a disaster. And you when you got the moderator, he's giggling with Joe Biden, they're laughing, chuckling it up. Like, I was like, is this real? Is this real life?
Joe Biden's giggles after every question and every
Oh,
statement made
so
me
annoying.
super uncomfortable.
And
Really
him like
uncomfortable.
looking at you see the way he like looks. He's like looking in the camera, talking to people. He's just like squinting like this. He's like the American people. It was driving me nuts watching him the whole time. But I do want to get to a couple of our points from the debate that I really want to highlight. And for me personally, there's a lot of racial divide in this country right now. So Joe Biden clearly lies throughout this debate. But one of the big ones is that he basically says that Donald Trump has done nothing for the African American community. Can we just take a look at that clip real quick?
This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
Okay, Alex, relax. Jeez, what is wrong with you this morning?
I just laugh every time I see Joe Biden talk. That's it.
But Joe Biden is saying that the president has done nothing for the African American community. Now we know Joe Biden has been in government somewhere or another, whether it's a senator, whether it was, with Obama for 8 years as his vice president. How many policies can we point to for Joe Biden? I'm going to get to Donald Trump and what he's done, but how many policies over that 47-year period that we can say, yep, this really benefited the minority community or the Black community? There's not any. And I would challenge anyone to put Joe Biden's policies against what Donald Trump's policies are just in, less than 4 years, and see which one. Just on policy alone. Let's not talk about, we don't have to get into what they said. Like, we don't have to talk about Joe Biden saying racial jungle or you ain't black or nothing like that. Just on policy alone. So I know a lot of times people reference like the 1994 crime bill, and it was brought up by President Trump. But I just want to give, the people watching this just an overview of this 1994 crime bill that the Democrats worked on. Now, the reason why they really wanted to do this crime bill is because the Republicans and other people were accusing them of being soft on crime. So they wanted something of their own to say, look how tough we are on crime. Like, we back the law enforcement. We do this and this. But what ended up happening is that there was mass incarceration because of this, and it was by mostly Black Americans and Latino Americans communities. So what it did was it gave states incentives. So it gave them money, firstly, to build more prisons, right? To incarcerate more people. But then it gave them incentives and money to keep those prisoners in those, in jail longer than what the average time would have been. So instead of, you doing, 10, 20% of your time, now you're looking at 40, 60, 80% for nonviolent crimes, just for drug offenses. Mm-hmm. And it was also something that started the 3-strike rule. So, if you can go to jail for life for a nonviolent crime because you've been arrested 3 times. So these are the things that the Democrats, and headed by Joe Biden, brought into. Now they didn't try to give more funding to inner city communities. They weren't trying to build schools. Actually, what it did, it ended up cutting funding from assistance programs like welfare and other social services. So I say that to get to what President Trump has done. I've been on record many times saying that I support the president, and a lot of it has to do with what he said he was going to do and what he has done for the Black community. So he is the one who worked on prison reform. He got prison reform done. It wasn't Barack Obama, right? It wasn't Joe Biden. They had the chance to do that. They did not. He had the lowest unemployment rate. Whether or not you want to give some of that credit to Barack Obama's administration, the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump came into office, gave tax breaks. Now, when you have businesses who are getting tax breaks, right, now they can hire more people. And a lot of those people that they are able to now hire, they're seeking more people. It's going to benefit the Black community and the minority community basically as a whole. Now let's look at what he is bringing to the table for this coming 4 years when he is reelected. So you have the Platinum Plan that he rolled out. This is the one thing that made me so mad, is that Chris Wallace tried to trap Donald Trump into a corner. Like, oh, are you going to vilify the white supremacists? How many times does he have to do it? How many times does he have to say, white nationalist KKK? He totally condemns them. Yeah. Neo-Nazis, he totally condemns them. Alex, how many times does he have to say that? And even in his Platinum Plan, he is making the KKK and Antifa, which is, by the way, the biggest problem is Antifa, which Joe Biden basically, and I know you're going to touch up a lot on that, yeah. But that's the real big problem. It's not the KKK. Where do you see the KKK rolling around here? You don't see them. But anyway, he is designating them as a terrorist organization. The first president to do that wasn't Joe Biden when he had a Black president in office for 8 years. And that's what I will have the listeners and viewers and basically everybody who don't don't just listen to the media and let them call Trump a racist, because it's the only thing they have to run on. They can't attack his policies because they've been good for America, and Joe Biden's has not. He cannot point last night to one thing that he had done in 47 years of government that helped the Black community. And I wish Chris Wallace would have got on him more about that. Not, I'm going to do this for the Black community. What have you done, Joe, for 47 years? He was for segregation on buses. He wanted to keep segregation on buses. There's so much more that you can point to that was a detriment to Black communities than anything Trump has done.
Absolutely. I mean, you already see it. He thinks he's been in government for 108 years.
I think it's 180.
No, I think he said 108. Oh no, we're having a Joe Biden moment.
Yeah.
I think he said 108. But
I'm gonna go with 180. We're gonna see.
Yeah, well, either way, it's wrong.
Either way,
But yeah, so I mean, to touch base on Antifa, so yours was, regarding the Black community and everything that, Joe Biden said that Trump hasn't done anything. And mine, I think one of the things that pissed me off the most last night was basically Joe Biden saying that Antifa it's an idea. It's not an organization. It's just an idea. It's just a figment of your imagination. That's, what it is. But so yeah, let's just insert that clip real fast of him saying that.
This is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not malicious. That's what his FBI, FBI director said.
Okay. I'm pretty sure Antifa would say the opposite, because they like to announce that they're a group. They're not just an idea. And I don't know about you, but I didn't know that ideas burned. I didn't know ideas loot, vandalize, and kill people that don't share the same mentality as you. Maybe Biden needs to get his website fixed, since Antifa.com goes to his campaign page before he starts calling them just an idea. And then BLM, the activist group behind the riots, have caused at least, I'm sure 1 billion in destruction in cities across the country. Yeah, that's some idea, it's an idea, a conspiracy theory. That's what it is to the left. But, Joe, did you forget what went on and continues to go on in Minneapolis and Seattle, where with CHOP/Chaz, Portland, Kenosha, Louisville, the violence and destruction that we've seen in those places are not right-wing driven. They're not. And then Chris Wallace was jumping down Trump's throat, basically telling him to denounce white supremacists like the Proud Boys, which Joe Biden mentioned. But God forbid Fragile Joe gets asked to denounce Antifa. It's the end of the world. It's elder abuse. Please explain to me why Antifa can insult people and set their cities ablaze without any sort of criticism from the left. But the Proud Boys, who the left slams as white supremacists, despite having members of all colors and creeds that go in to protect those neighborhoods, need to be denounced.
I literally was just going to say that they do have they have Latino people, they have Black people, and all of those. And yeah, like you said, he's literally just trying to basically trap Trump into a corner.
Exactly. And then, it's like the so blatant hypocrisy. I take it back to this same talking point that I have all the time, and it's how the left constantly preaches about peace, but holds some of the most violent people and groups on their side. And the only groups causing racial issues and violence currently is BLM and Antifa. And they will continuously, have excuses made for them. And the media is so obsessed with Trump having to denounce white supremacy, which he has multiple times. They bat no eye when Biden basically excuses the behavior of BLM and Antifa. And I actually think I have a clip. I'll probably show up a clip of Trump denouncing white supremacy, just so you can actually get it through your thick skulls for any liberals that might be watching this video, that Trump has denounced white supremacy so many times.
Racism is evil. and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
Just like you said, Ricky, I don't know how many times he's going to have to do it. He'll probably have to do it until he gets to his grave, because that's how the left is. He can denounce it as many times as he wants, but it's not going to be enough for them. And I don't agree with Trump having to denounce white supremacy. That should have been a question of focus. The fraudulent BLM movement and Antifa should have been a much bigger and primary focus, in last night's debate, for they are the result of the destruction across this country. And there is evidence on a daily basis of the violence and crimes being committed related directly to those groups. So actually, we could probably roll some clips of that too, if we find some, which we should. But at the same time, I feel like the media hides all the But if you haven't been paying attention, Trump, just like Ricky said, designated Antifa and the KKK as terrorist organizations. That is another example of him publicly denouncing white supremacy through his actions, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And, I feel like Joe Biden gets a pass on so much stuff. And this is why I was also mad at basically I thought Chris Wallace was going to be more center-leaning. I know he's always hard on Trump, but I thought he might be equally, or at least close to equally as tough on Joe Biden. They could have hit Joe Biden with so much stuff. And then anytime that, Trump would attack Biden on some of his lies and some of the things he said, some of the racial things that he's done, he's always getting interrupted by Chris Wallace about it. And, I think it's important for people like me and you to call Joe Biden out on the stuff that he's done and the stuff that he said. I mean, how many we literally have, there's just evidence. There's no evidence of Trump calling, black people, they're going to put you back in chains, and basically saying some of the things that, if he would have said some of the things that Joe Biden has said, they would try to impeach him.
Oh, absolutely. And
they're going to try anyway. They're going to try if he wins anyway.
Absolutely. And it's just,
imagine.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just like, Joe Biden, he has excuses for everything. And he places blame on anyone but himself. And we see it all the time. When he tried to condemn the rioting and the violence, but he placed blame solely on the right. And for months, Antifa and BLM terrorists have been causing mass violence and chaos. I already went through this, destroying people's businesses, physically attacking innocent people, and hunting down police. So, naturally, Chris Wallace wanted to focus on white supremacy, because he didn't want the attention to be on what the real problem is in America. Maybe they're both too busy cozying up in Joe's basement to process that the violence happening in the streets done by Antifa are Biden supporters. They're people from your party, Joe, harassing, looting, and killing people. And instead of denouncing them, Biden used last night's debate to defend them. And I wonder how the business owners that lost their businesses to looters and radical leftists feel hearing that. I wonder how the innocent civilians that get assaulted by Antifa feel after hearing that. I wonder how the family of Aaron Danielson, the Trump supporter that was shot in cold blood for his political views, feels hearing that. And then on Twitter just a couple hours ago, Biden had the nerve to tweet about a white supremacy surrounding the Trump administration. And what pissed me off the most about that was that they showed Kyle Rittenhouse's face. I don't think Joe would know what white supremacy is if it slapped him in the face, but since he wants to say a kid that defended himself against Antifa who was trying to kill him is a white supremacist, let's look at the comparison. President Trump has denounced white supremacy on multiple occasions and supports our law enforcement. And then Joe Biden embraces the radical defund the police movement, won't denounce the mobs caused by his supporters, and calls Antifa a myth, basically. I'm sure he thinks it's a figment of his imagination. Like I said before, he wants to take away your guns, leaving you defenseless. If that's not a stark contrast, I don't know what is. And Joe Biden's reaction to Antifa last night was basically a dog whistle for them. Might as well just say, hey, Antifa, you're right. This country is full of fascists. Keep up the good work. When you start to pretend that Antifa isn't real, you are part of the problem. And Joe Biden, you are a weak man. And Chris Wallace, you are a joke. And those are my thoughts on last night's shit show of a debate.
Ooh, okay, pop off, Alex. Just literally just to I mean, I don't want to follow that up, but just to
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, that's why you wanted to end this.
Mm-hmm.
But no, just to point out last night when Chris Wallace did press him a little bit about the situation in Portland, like he says, have you reached out to like any of these governors, these mayors to basically tell, denounce what's going on or what you would do? Now all of a sudden he's got no power. Oh, I'm not, I don't hold office. I don't hold any political office right now. So you didn't reach out to these and offer any of your advice? Because you're sure quick to judge everything that Trump is doing. Trump's really willing to go in there with our military and restore order, where Joe Biden's like, oh, I can't really do nothing. He told, hey, if Trump leaves them alone, if Trump just lets them do what they do, they'll be okay. Trump's been letting them do that, and look what's happening in these Democratic-run cities. It's just destruction. It's crazy.
It's destruction. Well, we've got a lot ahead of us, these next couple debates. So those are our final thoughts, like Tommy Lahren says. Those are me and Ricky's final thoughts.
Final thoughts, folks.
Debates. Final thoughts. Catch us next time.
Bye.
That was